January 3rd, 2025. The world woke up to shocking news. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had been captured by the United States in an unprecedented military operation, a sitting head of state kidnapped and removed from his country by force. Within hours, African leaders began responding. South Africa condemned it. Namibia expressed deep shock. Ghana called it a return to colonialism. Chad pledged support for international law. But one voice remained silent. Ibrahim Traoré, the young revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, who stood with Maduro just 8 months ago in Caracas, the president who expelled French troops, the anti-imperialist voice of West Africa. Where was Traoré? Why hasn't he spoken? What does his silence mean? Welcome to the channel. This is your source for understanding Ibrahim Traoré's strategic moves and vision for Africa. Today we're analysing Traoré's silence on Venezuela, because this silence might be his most powerful statement yet. Hit subscribe, because you'll understand exactly why Ibrahim Traoré's strategic thinking is playing out on the world stage right now. January 3rd, Saturday morning. President Trump announces a military operation against Venezuela. His justification: fighting terrorism and drug trafficking. But then Trump said something revealing. We will govern Venezuela during a transitional period and exploit its oil. Colonial language in 2025. The kind of language we thought belonged to history books. The operation was swift and brutal. Maduro and his wife were captured. Venezuelan institutions were attacked. There were firefights in Caracas. Venezuelan soldiers died defending their president. Within hours, Maduro was on American soil, a prisoner. This is unprecedented in modern international relations. A line that was never supposed to be crossed. Because if it can happen to Venezuela, it can happen to anyone. The African Union responded immediately. We are following with grave concern the recent developments in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, including reports of the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro and military attacks on Venezuelan institutions. They reaffirmed commitment to sovereignty, territorial integrity, and self-determination enshrined in the UN Charter. Note the language: abduction, not arrest. The African Union chose that word deliberately. ECOWAS released a carefully worded statement. They recognized the right to combat international crimes, acknowledging Trump's justifications, but reminded the international community of its obligation to respect sovereignty and territorial integrity of each member state. A diplomatic balance, not directly attacking the US, but firmly defending the sovereignty principle. South Africa took the firmest stance, calling it a clear violation of the UN Charter. History has repeatedly demonstrated that military invasions against sovereign states only produce instability and exacerbate crises. The illegal use of force undermines the stability of the international order. South Africa emphasized that international law does not authorize external military intervention in the internal affairs of sovereign states. Namibia expressed deep shock and reaffirmed solidarity with Venezuela based on a shared history of anti-colonial struggle for self-determination and independence. This is the exact language Ibrahim Traoré uses. These are the principles he fights for in Burkina Faso. Ghana condemned Trump's statements about governing Venezuela and exploiting its oil, declaring, "These statements are reminiscent of the colonial and imperialist era. They set a dangerous precedent for the world order." Such colonial ambitions have no place in the post-World War II era. Ghana called for immediate de-escalation and Maduro's release. Chad's foreign minister expressed commitment to international law on which the existence of a just world order depends. Every African leader who spoke used the same framework. Sovereignty must be respected. International law cannot be violated. This resembles colonialism. We stand with Venezuela. These are Ibrahim Traoré's core principles. This is his language. This is what he's been fighting for. So why hasn't Traoré spoken, according to Radio France Internationale? So far, there have been no official statements from the Sahel authorities of Mali, Niger, or Burkina Faso. No statements from Ibrahim Traoré. No statements from Mali. No statements from Niger. 3 countries, 3 leaders, all silent. The article notes, the Malian, Nigerian, and Burkinabe juntas maintain excellent relations with the regime of Nicolas Maduro. So these are not countries indifferent to Venezuela. So why the silence? To understand, you need to know the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso came to power through military transitions between 2020 and 2023. They expelled France from their territories, left ECOWAS, formed unified defense and foreign policy strategy, built strong ties with Russia, and developed close relationships with Venezuela. Ibrahim Traoré doesn't just lead Burkina Faso. He's one of 3 leaders coordinating the future of the Sahel region. When RFI questioned a Nigerian official about the silence, the answer was revealing. We are consulting with each other because, in matters of foreign policy, the AES countries speak with one voice. This is crucial. The AES countries speak with one voice. Ibrahim Traoré cannot make a unilateral statement on a major foreign policy issue. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are coordinating their response. When they speak, they'll speak together, and their statement will carry 3 times the weight. This is strategic coordination at the highest level. One country condemning the US can be dismissed, but 3 countries speaking as one bloc. That shows coordination, strength, regional consensus. This is Ibrahim Traoré playing the long game, understanding that waiting to speak until you can speak with maximum impact is more powerful than speaking immediately. This is chess, not checkers. But there's another reason for caution, and this reason is more serious. The article ends with this observation. Observers believe the 3 countries are playing it safe in the face of this new situation, since Trump recently stated, "What happened to Maduro could happen to others." Let that sink in. What happened to Maduro could happen to others. Trump isn't just talking about Venezuela. He's warning anyone who opposes American interests. Leaders who expelled American influence, who built relationships with Russia and China, who speak against Western imperialism. Leaders like Ibrahim Traoré. This is why observers believe the AES countries are being careful. Not because they're weak or don't support Venezuela, but because they understand they could be next. Trump has essentially put them on notice. Some might interpret this as cowardice. Some might say if Traoré really believed in his principles, he would speak regardless of consequences. But think about it from Traoré's perspective. If he issues a strong public statement right now, he becomes a headline, becomes Trump's next target. Trump can point to him and say, "Here's another anti-American dictator." Suddenly, Burkina Faso is in the crosshairs. But if Traoré waits, coordinates with AES allies, uses diplomatic channels instead of public statements, he can support Venezuela without painting a target on his back. He maintains strategic flexibility. He can time his response for maximum impact and minimum risk. This is not cowardice. This is strategic brilliance. This is understanding that sometimes the best move is the one your opponent doesn't see coming. Here's what most observers missed. While there's been no public statement from Ibrahim Traoré, there has been communication. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Guy revealed he received messages of solidarity from Namibia, Burkina Faso, and Liberia. Did you catch that? Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré has sent messages to Venezuela through diplomatic channels. He communicated support privately, strategically, without making it a public spectacle. This is classic Ibrahim Traoré. He's not grandstanding or seeking attention. He's doing what needs to be done to support his ally while protecting his country's interests. This is mature leadership. This is understanding that foreign policy is not performative, it's substantive. Let me present this as two options. Option 1. Make a public statement immediately. Stand before cameras. Issue a fiery denunciation of American imperialism. Demand Maduro's release. Result: headlines, social media trends, videos going viral. But also become Trump's next target. Risk direct confrontation with the United States. Potentially isolate Burkina Faso. Put your country at risk for a statement. Option 2. Send private messages through diplomatic channels. Coordinate with AES allies on joint response. Wait for the right moment to speak publicly. Result: Venezuela knows Burkina Faso supports them. Message delivered. But Traoré doesn't become the headline, maintains strategic flexibility, protects his country while supporting his ally. Ibrahim Traoré chose option 2 because he's not just a revolutionary giving great speeches. He's a strategic thinker who understands that sometimes the most powerful move is the one your opponent doesn't see coming. Just 8 months ago, in May 2025, Ibrahim Traoré met Nicolas Maduro in Caracas. Photos show them standing together, smiling, clearly comfortable with each other. Two anti-imperialist leaders challenging Western dominance. Two men who refuse to bow to neo-colonialism. They discussed economic cooperation, how Burkina Faso and Venezuela could trade directly, military training partnerships, building an anti-imperialist front, coordinating foreign policy strategies. Maduro was looking for allies in Africa. Traoré found a partner in Venezuela. Now, just 8 months after that meeting, Maduro is captured, kidnapped by American forces, taken to the United States. And Traoré is watching this happen to someone he stood beside, someone he called ally. Traoré knows he could be next. What happened to Maduro is exactly what Trump threatened. His silence isn't weakness, it's survival strategy. It's recognizing that speaking out might feel satisfying but would be strategically dangerous. Let's zoom out to the bigger picture. Why are African leaders responding so strongly to what happened in Venezuela? Because this isn't just Venezuela's problem, it's Africa's problem. This is everyone's problem. For centuries, Africa was invaded, colonized, partitioned by external powers. African people had no say in governance. African resources were extracted for European benefit. African sovereignty was fiction. Sovereignty was won through long, painful struggles for independence. And even after formal independence, the fight continued because neo-colonialism replaced colonialism. Now, in 2025, African leaders watch a head of state being kidnapped by a Western power and think, tomorrow this could be me, and Ibrahim Traoré knows this better than anyone. The fundamental principle of international law is state sovereignty. A state has absolute authority over its territory. No other state can interfere. But this principle is constantly violated. Iraq 2003, Libya 2011, Syria, now Venezuela. African leaders are saying, if we cannot protect this principle, none of us are safe. If sovereignty only applies to powerful countries, it's not really sovereignty at all. And Ibrahim Traoré has built his entire leadership on this principle. Everything he's done as president has been about asserting sovereignty. When he expelled French troops, that was about sovereignty. When he challenged the CFA franc, that was economic sovereignty. When he built the AES Alliance, that was collective sovereignty. When he speaks about controlling Burkina Faso's resources, that's resource sovereignty. Trump's words reveal pure colonial logic. In the 19th century, European powers said, "We will civilize these territories and use their resources for mankind's benefit," which meant European benefit. In the 21st century, Trump says about Venezuela, "We will govern this country and use its oil." Same logic, same imperial mindset. Trump isn't even dressing it up in civilizing mission rhetoric. He's blunt about it. "We're taking over. We're taking the oil. Deal with it." African leaders see this parallel very clearly. Ghana captured it perfectly. Such colonial ambitions have no place in the post-World War II era. That era was supposed to be different. The UN was founded. Principles of self-determination enshrined in international law. Colonialism officially rejected. African nations won independence. We were supposed to have moved beyond powerful countries, taking what they want from weaker countries. But Trump's statement shows maybe we haven't moved beyond that era at all. Ibrahim Traoré has said these exact words about French neocolonialism in the Sahel. How France maintained colonial relationships even after granting nominal independence. How they kept military bases. How they controlled currencies through the CFA franc. How they extracted resources. And he said, "Never again. We will not accept this. We will take control of our own country." Now he's watching the same pattern unfold in Venezuela. The same imperial logic. Same disregard for sovereignty. There's another layer to Traoré's strategic silence. His relationships with Russia and China. The AES countries expelled France but didn't create a vacuum. They filled it. Military support from Russia. Economic partnerships with China. They've positioned themselves firmly outside Western influence. If Ibrahim Traoré makes a very strong public statement now, he puts himself in direct confrontation with the United States. Trump has shown willingness to use military force to capture heads of state. So Traoré would be taking real risk. But by staying silent publicly while offering private support, he achieves multiple objectives. Helps Venezuela with solidarity delivered through diplomatic channels. Avoids becoming Trump's next headline. Maintains strategic flexibility. And protects Burkina Faso. This is the Ibrahim Traoré we analyze on this channel constantly. The strategic thinker. The leader who doesn't just react emotionally. The president who plays the long game. Some people want leaders who give great speeches regardless of consequences. But Ibrahim Traoré offers strategic leadership that prioritizes results over rhetoric, protecting his people even when it means staying quiet. The UN Security Council meets Monday. That meeting will be crucial. Ibrahim Traoré is waiting for his moment. When will he speak? My analysis. After the Security Council meeting, so he knows other countries' positions. When the AES Alliance agrees on a joint statement, so he speaks with 3 countries' force behind him. When the moment is right for Burkina Faso's interests, advancing goals without excessive risk. Because timing matters in international relations. Early statements get lost in the noise. Everyone's talking, everyone's reacting. Your voice gets buried in the crowd. Late statements are ignored. The world has moved on. Nobody cares anymore. But perfectly timed statements, they become headlines. They shape narratives. They're remembered. And Ibrahim Traoré understands timing. Look at his political career, how he came to power, how he consolidated position, his major speeches and announcements, always timed for maximum effect. He waits for the right moment, then acts decisively. Ibrahim Traoré's silence is strategy. What it means? Number 1, timing control, waiting for maximum impact rather than immediate reaction. Understanding that when you speak matters as much as what you say. Number 2, AES coordination. 3 countries will speak as one. That unified voice will be much more powerful than 3 separate statements, showing regional consensus and strength. Number 3, avoiding the target, staying off Trump's next list by not giving him reason to make an example of Burkina Faso, protecting his country while supporting Venezuela. Number 4, diplomatic maneuvering, private support through official channels, public flexibility, maintaining options as situations develop. But let me be clear, the message from Burkina Faso is clear even without public statement. Venezuela's foreign minister confirmed receiving messages of solidarity from Burkina Faso. Traoré has acted, communicated, taken position. He just hasn't done it on television or held press conferences or given Trump soundbites to use against him. This is smart leadership understanding that foreign policy is not performative, it's substantive. This crisis is about more than Venezuela. It's about the future of international order. Questions being asked right now. Can powerful states invade weaker ones and face no consequences? Is sovereignty still meaningful in 2025, or just a word that applies to strong countries but not weak ones? Is colonialism returning in new forms with new justifications but same imperial logic? African leaders are answering these questions. They're saying no. Sovereignty matters. International law matters. Colonialism will not be accepted. From South Africa to Ghana, from Namibia to Chad, from the African Union to ECOWAS, the message is consistent. And the AES countries, Ibrahim Traoré's alliance, will answer the same way. But they'll do it on their own terms, in their own time, with their own strategy. Ibrahim Traoré will speak. I'm confident of that. And when he does, the world will listen. For those of us following Ibrahim Traoré's leadership journey, and if you're watching this channel, you are part of that community, this moment is crucial. This is a test. Traoré is showing us how a small African nation navigates great power politics. How do you stand by your principles without making yourself vulnerable? How do you support your allies without becoming the next target? How do you maintain sovereignty in a world where powerful countries are willing to use force? Traoré is showing us through strategic patience, not reacting immediately just because everyone expects you to. Thinking first. Coordinated alliances, working with your partners, presenting a united front rather than acting alone. Private diplomacy, using official channels, communicating through proper diplomatic means. Public silence until the moment is right, waiting for when your words will have maximum impact. This is the Ibrahim Traoré doctrine in action. This is how he's kept Burkina Faso independent while others fall under pressure. This is how he's built the AES Alliance into a real force in West African politics. This is how he's navigated relationships with Russia and China while managing tensions with the West. Strategic thinking, long-term planning, prioritizing substance over style, results over rhetoric. What happens next? The Security Council meets tomorrow. The Venezuelan crisis will be debated. Positions will be taken. Diplomatic pressure will intensify. Somewhere in Ouagadougou, in the presidential palace in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré is calculating his next move. He's consulting with his AES allies in Mali and Niger. He's talking to his advisors. He's watching how the situation develops. Will it be a joint AES statement condemning the violation of Venezuela's sovereignty? Will it be a Burkina Faso position paper laying out a view of international law? Will it be a speech that goes viral? We don't know yet. But we're watching. Because when Ibrahim Traoré moves, it matters. When he speaks, people listen. My prediction: it will be part of coordinated AES response. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso speaking together. 3 voices as one, defending sovereignty, condemning imperialism, standing with Venezuela. And by waiting, by coordinating, by timing it right, their statement will have far more impact than any rushed individual reaction could have. Because sometimes in geopolitics, the most powerful voice is the one that hasn't spoken yet. Silence can be strategic. Patience can be powerful. And Ibrahim Traoré understands this better than most leaders on the world stage today. This is what sets him apart. This is what makes him effective. What do you think about Ibrahim Traoré's silence? Is it strategic brilliance? Is he playing chess while others play checkers? Or is it forced caution? Is he constrained by Trump's threats? Do you think he'll make a statement soon? What do you think a joint AES response might look like? How should African leaders respond to what's happening in Venezuela? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real discussion. Engage in the comments. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell. Because this channel is your source for understanding Ibrahim Traoré's moves, his strategy, his vision for Burkina Faso, and for Africa's future. We break down his decisions. We analyze his policies. We help you understand the transformation happening in Burkina Faso and across the Sahel region. The Venezuela crisis isn't over. It's just beginning. Traoré's response isn't finished. It hasn't even started publicly. And we'll be here to analyze every development, every statement, every move. Because understanding Ibrahim Traoré means understanding the future of Africa, understanding how sovereignty can be defended in the 21st century, understanding how small nations can maintain independence in a world dominated by great powers. So stay with this channel, keep watching, keep engaging. Because the story of Ibrahim Traoré and the Venezuela crisis is still being written. And when the next chapter begins, when Traoré finally makes his move, we'll be here to analyze it together. Until next time, stay informed, stay strategic, stay committed to understanding the real dynamics of power and sovereignty in our world. And remember this above all. In geopolitics, sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that hasn't spoken yet. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes waiting for the right moment is the smartest move you can make. And Ibrahim Traoré understands this better than almost any leader on the world stage today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community. And I'll see you in the next video.